Hey guys, Ashley here from my kitchen again, and I thought I would do a quick cooking video today. Ada woke up not feeling great, and I thought soup might be a nice thing for dinner, and I also kind of thought this recipe would be nice for a Super Bowl party because it's just basic French onion soup that I'm going to also make some French baguettes for and cover with cheese. And it's really easy. You can make it in your crock pot. I've made it for a few years, and over time my recipe, I'm not like real precise, but I'm going to try to be. So first what I did was I cut up 3 large onions, and because it's a crock pot, I'm just going to start putting everything in my pot. So 3 large onions, and you want to cut them into like the rounds because they'll just turn really soft and be nice and stringy, and you want to separate them all out into the different rounds. And the cool thing about this recipe is that you don't have to cook the onions on the stove top before you put them in the pot. I'm a little anxious because I've never done this soup in my new cooker. We recently had to get a new cooker because the cord on ours was kind of frayed. So we got, I'm looking over at it, an Aroma rice cooker, slow cooker, and steamer, which is really, it's a great pot so far because you can make your slow cooker staples, you can cook rice and other grains, and you can even steam vegetables at the same time. I'll probably fast forward through this part because it does take a while to put all these onions in here. Oh, and you might notice my faux champagne. I'm going to use that in the next step, and I thought while I wait I might as well have a faux mosa because I bought Ada some orange juice today, and that's what I feel like having. Yeah, you just want to get them as separated as you can. And you also want to slice them pretty thin. I didn't do a great job of that today because I was rushed, but these ones are more separated. Alright, so to the onions, you're going to want to add about 1/4 cup of butter. And I actually did not have enough butter today, so what I ended up doing was using a little bit of olive oil as well. Okay, next part, you want to add a little bit of brown sugar. I usually do a couple tablespoons. My brown sugar has turned into a brick, so hopefully it'll work. So yeah, just like a couple tablespoons, so about a handful. And then you also want to add some balsamic vinegar. Again, just a couple tablespoons, so I'm going to use my 1/4 cup measure and fill it up about halfway. And after that, you're just going to want to mix it all together. Use a wooden spoon because this new pot is like a non-stick one, and I don't want to get any of the Teflon compromised. So yeah, I'm just going to mix this up, and I'm going to go cook it on high for 1 hour, and then I will be back to show you the next steps. And yeah. Love this stuff. All right, so it's been an hour, and I I ended up mixing this about every 15 minutes. There's my timer. I ended up mixing this about every 15 minutes just to make sure it was all getting cooked. And the texture of those onions is now a lot stringier and softer, and it smells delicious. So the next step is actually to add a 1/4 cup of flour. And you want to let that soak in just for a little bit. I usually let it soak in for, 5 minutes or so, but since I'm taking this video, I'm just going to mix it in and add the other stuff. It's when you make French onion soup on the stove, you usually make some type of roux, and you use flour for that. And so this kind of adds that taste and texture to the soup that makes it so delicious. All right, so that's absorbing nicely in there. The next stuff you're adding is what you're going to simmer it in for the next about 6 hours. It depends. I have never used this cooker on a low heat setting, so I'm going to see what happens, if it will cook nicely in 3 or 4 hours like I would do normally in a slow cooker on high. But if you have a low setting, you'll want to do it for 6 to maybe even 8 hours if you have the time. Okay, this is my champagne, my fake champagne. You could also use cooking wine. Some people have even used beer, and that just gives it a nice flavor that fizzes. And then what you're going to do next is add about 7 or 8 cups of vegetable broth, or I kind of use broth and stock interchangeably, so I use whatever I have on hand. Right now I have this Better Than Bouillon vegetable base that I'm using, and it says for each quart of stock you use 1.5 tablespoons. So I'm using stock, and it turns out great. So I have my water pre-measured here. 1, 4. It looks like I can add it all. This is a little bit of a smaller cooker than I had before, so I wanted to make sure I could do the full 8 before I just dumped it in. So I have 8 cups of water, and then I'm adding 3 tablespoons of the Better Than Bouillon mix. Oh, and I also added a little bit of garlic powder to the flour that I just added, because that gives it a really nice extra punch of flavor. It's all about flavor. This is such a simple soup that you just have onions and then a bunch of things to flavor it. So this is looking nice, and I'm just gonna season it a bit with some pepper. I don't measure the pepper, we just like a lot. And I'll also do some salt, but I usually wait to do the final salt when it's almost done, because I don't want to add too much. So I'm just going to mix this up, and then I'm going to cook it for, I guess we'll see. I'm probably going to do 3 or 4 hours. If I can figure out how to do low, I'll probably simmer it for 6 hours, because it's only 11 o'clock right now and I have the time. And I think when you simmer it longer, it just lets everything develop a little bit better. So anyway, this is my cooker. I'm going to close it, plug it in over there, and that's really all you do to make this soup. And then to serve it, you'll want to either buy some crusty bread. French baguettes are really good because you can slice them thin and just drop them right in the soup. And then you can do Swiss cheese, Gruyere. I don't know if I'm saying that kind right, but those are some of the better cheeses to do with it. And what you'll do is you'll just put it in like a little crock or a little ramekin or a little bowl, and you could put some bread in, pour the soup on top, and put the cheese on top and broil it and serve it that way. Or you can have the bread and cheese on the side. It's really up to you, but that's the soup, and it smells delicious. The whole house it just smells amazing, and I think Ada's really gonna like it. It's gonna help with her sore throat. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and if you have any comments, leave them below. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.